start, you'll need a piece of wood. I chose a random 2x4 that I had in my garage. You'll need to take the measurement of the diameter of the pipe and transfer it to whatever piece of wood you found. Thereafter, if it's too large, you'll have to cut it down. You have to use personal protective equipment at all times. Your allergies will thank you. I've been using it for years. It's not just used for COVID purposes. You don't have to use a piece of equipment to cut it down if you just get a 1x1 from your local home improvement store. I didn't have a 1x1, but I do have a miter saw, so I can cut down a 2x4 to 1x1. And there it is. Once you get that, you'll want to transfer the circumference of the pipe to the bottom of the square peg to make it easier to use as a guide when you're whittling down the wood to the correct size. You want to narrow it down to just beneath, just smaller than the circumference of the actual pipe. So the small end will fit inside of the pipe and have a tight fitting. And so you'll see the markings on the wood as such. You just take, the easiest thing is to take a chisel and a hammer and just whittle the wood down. You can also use a knife like they did in the olden days and whittle it down that way. But it's simple enough just to shave off enough wood so that the end piece is snug in the pipe as so. Then you take the hammer and hammer it the rest of the way in. As I said, it will be a tight fit, so you'll need a hammer to slug it in there, and it's actually very easy to do, as you'll see. Remove the excess shavings, and there you have it. A wooden piece to connect a finial to. You'll need a drill. If you don't have one, I'm sure your neighbor does. Borrow a drill and just drill a hole straight in the middle of the piece of wood, and then screw in your finial of choice. Pretty soon, voila, you have a drapery rod that usually costs a lot more than $6 or $7, which is what I spent for that, other than the finial. I hope you've enjoyed today's segment of In the House, episode number 2 with Sid and Ash. Before I move on, I'd like to remind you that the how-to section that you just saw contains a conduit electric piping. It's just electric piping, and it's located at any big box home improvement store. It comes in shiny finishes, it comes in rustic finishes. It's basically whatever that particular store has on hand. They're typically standard sizes, 6, 8, 10. There may even be some longer. You can cut them down to size using a Dremel, using a hacksaw, using a grinder, and they're a great value.